are you?
I am Peter Touch.
This video takes place November 14th, 1989, which is right after async opened the threshold. We see that they have built some sort of protection, sort of gateway system, as they have just opened it and do not want to risk anything in this new dimension. Our protagonist walks around lateral division, and we see that async has put up some signs on each row and column of lateral division, just to label them off. We then see our cameraman climb up a ladder, and we get a view of the ceiling area of the complex, like the part that's above the tiles. We see the ventilation system, and we see the light itself. And we then get a slideshow of various async members taking down the tile. We then hear a woman, whose name is Julia Meisner, talking about the findings with these two new specimens from the complex, which are obviously the ceiling tile and the ceiling light. I'm gonna skim over a lot of the sciencey stuff, as I am not a light engineer, and I did not know what a truffer was before this video released. So essentially, Meisner says these panels are oddly shaped, and it appears that they were built for long-term use. I want to note that it's very strange that she refers to them as built, as I don't know if the complex was built. It might have just existed. She then goes on to talk about the light fixtures. She completely glosses over the fact that despite cutting off the power source, the light remained active. I find this very interesting. It's like, how? There was no power supply. How did they stay on? You can't just gloss over that like that. Unless there's like something that I don't know. How does the light stay on without a power source? Anyways, she then goes on to list a bunch of science mumbo-jumbo about the lights, before going on to claim that these ceiling lights weren't built for normal space, as they appear to be just very oddly composed of various different things. She then lists the labels on the different part of the light fixture. The labels say that the light was manufactured in 1975 and were made in Pennsylvania. This very clearly has big implications, as there's no realistic way that a small Pennsylvania company could have made all the lights for every single part of the complex. The video ends by zooming onto the label on the light fixture, further proving its importance to the story. Static Dead Ends begins with a conversation of George Levy, an async worker, and, drumroll please, Marvin, he's back! The two argue about how the async handled the situation with Peter Tench. Mark reasonably gets very angry, as one of his two best friends has just died out of nowhere, and he claims that there's even a chance that async could have murdered him to keep him under quiet. George attempts to disregard this, but Marvin just gets angrier, saying that next time it could be him or George. Then that they would just put him down like a dog. George says it's not worth dying in async for this, and Marvin agrees and apologizes for the sudden outburst. We then see the walkway in room 14D nearing completion, some kind of harness device built over the hole that Marvin fell down, supposedly to investigate the red neighborhood area more. The cameraman, George, walks by 14D and opens the door that Mark went through all that time ago. We finally get to see what was on the other side. Strangely, however, it's just basic complex architecture. There is this one room with a bunch of objects stuck in null zones, but nothing else. But I believe with this video, we can put together what the green light from Found Footage 2 actually is. So basically, I believe that the green light is the force that actively expands the complex. Think about it, we saw a wall move just before the green lights, and we hear researchers talking about this specific part of stretched wallpaper, and say that Mark said it was flowing in a specific direction. This means that Mark both saw the green light and also this stretched wallpaper. If you remember, on the other side of the door, there was a green light. What if he saw with the walls right in front of him shifting and moving around, with the rooms just building themselves? For Volume 2 of the Backrooms OST, and for this brief moment in I Remember, we see a view of a hazmat suit rapidly moving through some sort of corridor. What if this is what Mark saw? What if he saw this hallway just go on forever, and he saw these rooms just form around him? Okay, it's time for the video that made me want to start this series to begin with. I firmly believe that Backrooms Found Footage 3 is up there with actual found footage horror movies, such as Cloverfield and the Blair Witch Project. Found Footage 3 begins with a tape recording of a bunch of different things and memories on a camcorder, similar to the home recording movie from Found Footage 2, before giving us the face of our protagonist, whose name is Ravi. Ravi talks about making fun of diseased kids.
Sure, I like making fun of diseased kids as much as the next guy.
Before we cut to his home and hear the haunting chant of a mourning dove in the atmosphere. We then see him talking on the phone to someone, until there's rumbling going on downstairs. He heads down the stairs to see if he can find whatever caused that rumble, and he finds that one of his glass doors have been shattered. He walks further into his house, trying to see who shattered the glass door, and sees that one of his brick walls has been shattered, leading into this area of the house he doesn't know about. He walks forward, and then the lights start flickering, which obviously means he's in the complex now. He falls through, strangely enough, one of the cabinets in an office area. He does the first smart thing a Kane Pixel's protagonist has ever done, and attempts to climb back up the hole he entered through, but the entrance is blocked off with just wood. It's worth noting that in this video, the complex is portrayed very differently. It has more furniture instead of the very bleak and liminal style from previous videos, and it feels like people have actually lived here. Perhaps this is the A-space perspective Async was talking to the government about. Ravi walks around the empty office space and claims that he did not know any of this stuff was here, which, yeah, I wouldn't know either. He walks into another room and turns on the lights and heads through a door into another room, with another stretched chair similar to those in Found Footage 2. Ravi then sees the first oddity yet, which is this door blocked by a desk, with a brick wall right behind it. He then sees a crawl space, which he decides to not go down. He backtracks a bit, but sees that the room with the warped chairs are off. He tries to open the door, but it's locked. Ravi goes down the crawl space in the other room. He heads out into a cramped room with a bit of furniture, crawls through another hole in the wall, and heads into another dark room with furniture. After heading down another tunnel, he ends up in a big open room, while Rest Forever in This Dead End by Kane begins playing. He looks up and sees a fake skylight, and there's also a bit of a ledge in the wall here. He climbs up a bit, and in the wall he sees that there's some sort of object in it, but it can't quite be discerned. He sees a doorway that's being blocked by a cabinet and pushes it out the way and walks down this dark tunnel. And oddly enough, the song in the background begins to decrease in pitch. Ravi comes out the other side into the room with the carpet. You know the one. 2 ways to go from here. Ravi decides to go right and heads into a room with some couches and furniture, which is a nice little reference to the fact that the Backrooms was originally shot in a furniture store. He sees an exit sign and excitedly opens the door, but instead he is met with a set of dingy rooms with yellow wallpaper and junk all over the place. Still Life begins playing in the background. It's worth noting that in this instance, this isn't background music added by Kane in post-production for horror effect. This is music generated by the complex. Like when he walks forward, we hear it get louder. This is the complex's attempt at recreating music. He goes forward and sees a bit of a big blast door blocked up with a bunch of chairs before heading into yet another cramped room, before seeing my favorite room in this whole video. Still Life in the background, this junk all over the floor, the weird tape markings that vaguely resemble the tape from Found Footage 2, and all the two small hallways. I don't know why, but this room just feels so perfectly complex to me, in a way that I can't really describe. Ravi claims that something smells really bad before crouching down in a crawl space and supposedly seeing a corpse. You can almost see his fingers in this shot. Before he can process that though, he hears something crashing nearby. He runs away before turning around and seeing the lights in the previous room turn off. Ravi says that he's just trying to leave and hurries away, but just as he is about to make it to the room with the kid's playmat from earlier, he hears a knock at the door. Ravi slowly walks backwards until the knock gets loud enough, and eventually whatever is on the other side of that door tries to fully knock the door over. Ravi runs away, not knowing whatever this is, and to be honest, we didn't know either. He runs by some sort of office rooms with water coolers and picture frames on the wall before coming across this.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
This area is very clearly connected to the Red neighborhood from Pitfalls, but it's obviously not it. This area, which fans have dubbed the Red City, is absolutely massive, and the sense of scale is really thrown aside in later on, and it proves that Ravi is in a fully different section of the complex. Anyways, he runs by the gangway and heads up onto a ledge on the wall and turns on the lights, and it's revealed that this is a mock indoor neighborhood. Still life begins playing again on the speakers, but this alerts the thing that's chasing him, and so Ravi quickly turns the lights back off and stealthily heads into the darkness. He quietly walks around the back of this house, and for the first time, we hear what the thing chasing him sounds like. This is not a life form. This is something else entirely. We then see the lights turn back on, and Ravi hurries away. It's worth noting this because this thing knows how to turn on lights. It turned off the light from earlier, and it turned on the light in this room, but it doesn't know how to open doors, which is very clearly an intentional detail, but it's not really known what it could mean. Ravi goes into a room with a set of staircases and climbs up a set of stairs. We then see some dingy rooms reminiscent of the original 4chan post that invented the Backrooms to begin with this stain on the floor, which Ravi focuses on for an oddly long amount of time. He then goes into a house room, which is a replica of a house from the TV show Mr. Robot, which is a fun little fact. He heads up a ladder and sees that the room has no roof. He sees a Chinese statue facing the wall and some fertilizer, along with a red light that most likely leads out into the Red City. Ravi heads down another cramped ramp and sees a split path. He decides to go right, and then sees some speakers playing another song generated by the complex. The name of this song is, but when translated to English, its name is Gas Stove, which is kind of strange. He heads through this room, all while that funky beat that is Gas Stove plays in the background. Once again, it's worth noting that Gas Stove is another song that's made by the complex, and it sounds a lot more song-like than the one from earlier, which is obviously Still Life. It's safe to say that this area was probably generated later on because it sounds much more human-like, because it has an actual beat. He then goes into a big room with a sort of radio tower thing, along with a big pit and numerous references to one of Kane's other series, which name is Splendor. Oddly enough, nothing is actually known about this series yet, and the only thing that people do know about Splendor is that it will heavily feature this sun with a face on it. He hits a few of the buttons on the equipment before looking up and seeing some green light flash from a nook up above. He tries to see if anything will grasp a hold of anybody, but nothing happens. But he does hear radio chatter coming from another room nearby. So presumably async is actually nearby. Ravi heads towards the room, and obviously there's the infamous double take on the sync here, of course. He opens the door and sees the same indoor neighborhood from before, but there's no one there despite the radio chatter, which must mean it's just playing on the speakers. He closes the door and hurries back to the radio tower, but then he finally gets a look on what's been chasing him this whole time. This is Still Life. What happens when the complex tries to accurately recreate a human? It is nothing like a life form. Although it very clearly has mold on it, it is much more humanoid. It wears a coat and trousers with brown shoes, and although it's hard to tell, it's safe to say a part of its head melted off. It howls at Ravi, and so, very smartly, he runs away from the monster, and enters a crawl space in the floor from earlier, and after coming out another side, smartly blocks the Still Life before it can get to him. We also get a look at it crawling, and I don't like that very much. We then cut to something in between a crevice in the wall. I don't know whether it's some sort of bug in a null zone or simple bacillus growth, but whatever it is, it appears to be growing and crawling out of the wall. We then see Ravi walking through an industrial area with a portrait of Mao Zedong, along with a bunch of other random junk and stop signs coming out of the floor, all while this annoying droning noise plays in the background. Ravi walks past a big fan which makes the droning noise and enters a more office-style area, and this area specifically is a subtle nod to level 4 from the Backrooms repeat, for getting another look at the Red City. This view truly shows the sheer scale of this city. It gets hard to find when the windows end and the stars of the sky begin. We hear red sun in the sky play in the background as Ravi laughs at the situation and place he's found himself. He then walks by another gangway, and it's worth noting that he walks into the stars. This means that the Red City is, in reality, just a huge room with stars covering the walls. Ravi then goes on into a bit more of the traditional style complex, still with a bit of dinginess over the place, and sees a cardboard cutout of a caveman. A great bit of realism here is when entering the next room, Ravi looks behind him just to make sure the caveman hasn't moved, which is smart of him. Anyways, he goes into another room, and the layout here looks oddly similar to that one room from earlier with the couches. He goes through another doorway and enters a bit of a room with a construction area sort of look, along with a big barricaded door, but this time it's opened. The whole layout of this room looks identical to the still life room from earlier, showing that these rooms are most likely on different floors, but right above each other. And it's worth noting that if you follow the path that Ravi took, knowing that the room over here is there, then you can make a safe assumption to say that this is actually just right above the other room. He then sees a room with a fake house and enters through the door with a horizontally flipped welcome carpet. He hears a voice coming through the wall and attempts to open the door to the person to talk to him. This next part is a doozy, so just stay with me. Ravi asks if anyone is there, to which the man responds that he's on private property and Ravi needs to leave. Ravi, however, says that he can't leave as there is no exit, and the man says that he just needs to go or he'll call the cops. Eventually, the man realizes that Ravi isn't nearby at all. They realize that he's just in a different version of his house. Ravi asks if the man can help him get out, to which the man tries to pull down some of the wall because the wainscoting got redone recently. He thinks that after pulling down some of the wall, there'll be a vent on the floor that he can crawl through. But as he's doing that, this happens. Ravi asks if the man is still in there, to no response. He bangs on the wall, just begging to try and find him, because it's really hard to think that he had interaction with a human, but then it went away. We then see Ravi lying down in presumably the Red City while still life plays in the background. He talks about his life and some of his most fond memories before the camera battery runs out and we don't get to see what his fate was. Oakley dokley, that was the final part of my Backrooms analysis series. The next video will be me attempting to put together a timeline and order of events so we can finally see what this whole shebang is all about. Unless the next movie trailer comes out by then, and then, in which case I review that. Bye bye!